What's good, guys? Jason Blends, Studio Square Recordings. Look who I got.
I'm home. I'm back home.
Big
Inside
facts.
Studio Square.
Before we even jump into the general topic, I think we should start at the top. So I've been doing my research on you, doing a little recon, and I think I want to start at the very, very top. So from what I understand, when you were very young, your father did a concert with Biggie.
Right. I was, 9 years old, maybe 8 years old. The oldest, maybe 10 years old.
Wow. Do you remember any of it?
I remember them showing me like pictures and talking about it after the show. And like the lead up to it too. But I wasn't there. Like my older brother, he got to meet Big, got to meet Puff and Buster. Like he was at the show. My dad brought him to the show.
So it was Big, Puff, and Buster?
No, well, Puff was the manager.
Right.
So he was around. Like my father did business with Puff. Like had to book Biggie through Puff. At that time, the first album wasn't out. They were like doing the promo leading up to Big's first album.
So this was like party and bullshit days.
Yeah, but then, Kim I think was at the show, Little Kim, maybe before Junior Mafia. Like it was just about Biggie. My dad said Busta Rhymes came out. Because they was just all rolling together at that time.
Right.
Biggie was the young, new hot kid, so everybody in the town, if he was doing the show, they were popping out.
Right.
Yeah, so it was crazy, like just hearing the stories, but I wasn't allowed to go because it was like, oh, it's a hip hop show. He might get, and in the 90s, it was real.
It was real.
And it's still real today because we're going to talk about it, but it was different,
Yeah. So it's safe to say like this hip hop thing is in your blood.
Yeah, of course. That's all I listened to before the Biggie concert. My dad did that. He wasn't into hip hop music. He was a businessman. So he was like, yo, I got this extra cash. My sons love hip hop music. This is the new music that all the kids are listening to. I'm gonna throw a concert.
Right.
Who's the hottest? And my older brother was like, my favorite rapper is Biggie. My favorite.
How old was your brother at the time?
He might have been, if I was 10, he might have been like 16.
Okay.
Right.
So he was in heaven.
Oh yeah, he was lit. Like his best friends, from the town.
Yeah.
They were with him, rolling with him, because before the show, my dad, you go meet the artists, so they were able to meet everybody before, take pictures. Like they still got the pictures and all that. So me just hearing it as a kid, I was like, oh, this sounds so cool. But we were already tuned in, like listening to hip hop music before that.
Right.
In the car, Hot 97 was on before it was even a thought to one day be on Hot 97.
Yeah. I mean, so speaking of that, when in pursuing the radio and pursuing your career, talk to me about the steps. Like, you're leaving high school and you're thinking about your next move. When did DJing click for you?
So it was around like high school time when DJing clicked. Like I love music. I can't sing. I can't rap. Like what can I do with music? And it was like, oh, DJing is a thing at first. It's just like a hobby. Then I realized, oh, the guys that I hear on the radio, this is their career. This is not part-time for everybody.
Right.
The Flexes, the DJ Nuffs, the Cypher Sounds, Mr. C's, they do this for a living. And when I realized that, I said, oh, I love this so much. I think I'm going to go for it. Now I needed an in because I didn't know anyone. I knew local like DJs. I would go to team parties and house parties. But those weren't the guys that influenced me like to do it as a career because they probably worked a city job and DJ'd on the weekends, right? So it wasn't that part. The DJing was one thing, but to know it could be a career was what really pulled me in. And I was like, how do I get in? Like, I don't know anyone in the industry. Nobody in my family does music. My dad did a concert, but that was just a one-off, promotion thing. Even though they were supportive, I said, I have to figure out how to get in. And I was always like a hustler, even in high school, selling things, selling white tees, selling bandanas to gang members.
Were you the mixtape guy?
I wasn't selling mixtapes because I couldn't keep up with it. I tried, but it was like a lot. We didn't have enough resources to burn CDs. I needed a CD burn, multiple CD burn. I couldn't afford it.
That huge tower.
Right. You need a tower, doing 10, 20 at a time. So I was like, how else can I make money just to move around? And I started selling whatever people was wearing, like in the hood fashion, right? So like white tees, I would be selling them, whatever, 3 for 10, 2 for 10. And I would make beads for the gang members. Like, they all had their certain colors and their beads. I would do that and sell custom beads and bandanas and whatever. If yo-yos were hot at the time, sell yo-yos. So I would come to the city on 25th Street, go buy, everything in bulk,
The wholesale.
flip it.
Yeah.
With the money, I wasn't blowing it like, oh, I'm gonna go buy new sneakers. I would like get on a train after school. This is in high school. Jump on a train, come into the city, and apply online to sit in the studio audience of 106 in Park and be in Sucker Free Countdown at the time. So when I first started doing it, DJ Clue was the host.
Right.
So that's why I kept wanting to go to that show, because I'm like, DJ Clue, he's on Hot 97. He's a DJ, but he's the host of MTV. And then there was a transition where Clue left and Cypher Sounds took the spot. So in my head, I'm like, oh man, Clue is gone. That was my, that would have been my in. And I realized years later, Cypher was the in, and I kept going to the show, and on the way out, popped my head in the dressing room. Yo, Cypher, I'm a young DJ. If you need an intern, let me know. Yeah, I got you. He gives me like the number of his manager, and I just was consistent. And then they finally called, like, I'm like 18 at the time. Like, hey, you still want an intern? I'm like, of course. And like, all right, cool. Come in the city, and I'm thinking, oh, I'm gonna be with Cypher. He's DJing everywhere. I'm gonna be on MTV. But originally it was like sit in the management office, because they were managing like Nina Sky, they were managing the Kid Daytona, like Cypher had artists. So I'm in the office, I'm like, I gotta thug it out, because this is my only way now to get close to the Cypher, because still I don't know anyone in the industry. And I did that for a couple weeks, and then Cypher, they see my loyalty, just the way I move. They're like, he's a young kid, he's making it happen, he's coming from Jersey. And Cypher was like, yo, if you wanna roll with me every day, meet me at Sirius Satellite Radio at like 6 in the morning or something. And I started doing that. And from doing that, just building relationships, I learned how to, produce radio from just being there. I didn't go to school for it.
Just watching the guy on the boards.
Yeah, just watching the boards.
Yeah.
And I learned it. And then eventually you start getting little opportunities. Like, hey, the board op can't make it today. Can you hold it down? Just don't tell nobody. And then I'm doing it, not on the books, just doing it.
Yeah.
And then that turns into an opportunity where it's on the books. So now I'm working at Sirius Satellite.
So to clarify, he's talking about Cypher Sounds, who was Flex's right-hand man for many, many moons.
Right.
So very, very, very relevant DJ in New York City radio.
But for people that like the DJ game is different now, but you needed that cosign to get in, right? So Chuck Chill Out cosigned Flex. He put Flex on.
Yes.
Flex then co-signed Cypher Sounds. He put Cypher on. Even though everyone is still working, like Flex had to bust his ass and do what he had to do. Cypher had to bust his ass. Then Cypher co-signs me and puts me on. Now I gotta bust my ass. Right? So it's just like, and that's for most DJs, especially in New York, that's how it happened. You weren't just coming in on your own. At a certain point, someone had to give you that big homie co-sign.
Well, it was the same thing for artists.
Right,
coming through 90s, early 2000s, it was the same thing. If you didn't get the tap, you weren't on.
Right, it was. There's no internet where you could never do a party in your life. But you're DJing on Instagram, and now you're a DJ.
I'm lit.
And now you paying for followers or taking your DJ set and putting money to promote it. And you know what I'm saying? Like, you couldn't do that back then. You really had to put in work and get the cosign.
Yeah.
And you learned so much during that process. Like, I learned so much. Not getting paid $1, I learned more than what I could have paid for, if that makes sense, right? Just being around and watching Cypher, because eventually that turned into Hot 97, because he was working at Hot 97. But how I got into Hot 97 wasn't through music, wasn't through DJing. Like, in my head, I always knew what the goal was.
Right.
But they don't just let anyone in, so you got to figure out how to get in. And while I was with Cypher, I had him buy his own camera. This is before like World Star went crazy, before everybody was posting on YouTube.
So this is like early days of YouTube.
Early, yeah. And I'm like, yo, Cypher, buy a camera. He loved, being in front of the camera. He loved content. I'm like, we're gonna film our own stuff. We don't need MTV's cameras. We're gonna buy the same one they have. Like, in my head, I'm like, you getting money, you DJing every night. I know you getting money. Let's buy the same camera. So he buys the same Sony camera that MTV was shooting on. I was doing TV production in high school, so I already knew how to kind of edit and shoot.
You had the basics of the game.
And that's all I needed, because we turned it into like a movie, like everything, shooting everything. We would go to Miami for a gig or for a booking, and we'd get content, and we just kept shooting content.
At this time, are you getting paid?
like
You still interning?
it's still considered intern. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I was getting paid in like food basically.
Right.
But it was never. I never even thought about money. It was never ever a thought.
Right.
Because today I think about it, I go, wow, I really did love this shit because
Yeah.
I was doing it for food
Yeah.
basically, and just to be around because I really really loved it. And so we're shooting on Cypher stuff, and Hot 97 now has a production department where they're now shooting the interviews because they
Right.
find out how important it is to. And they're like, yo, who does all Cypher stuff? He's like, that's Drewski that shoots and edits.
Right.
They hire me for like a content producer at Hot 97. So now I'm technically on the books. I worked for Emmis at the time, which owns Hot 97. Now I'm in. I'm like, boom, it's all working out. It takes a lot of time, but I'm gonna figure it out because I
Right.
always did. And then from there, I'm shooting. Now I'm at Hot 97. I'm meeting everyone because I have to. I got to shoot for Flex. I got to shoot for Angie. I got to shoot for whoever was on air at the time. By doing that, you build relationships. And Angie just loved the way I worked when it came to the editing and the shooting. Like she has an interview with Jay-Z. I'll shoot it, and she's on 3 to 7. By the time she gets off the air, her interview's shot and edited, ready to go. And she just loved that work ethic.
Right.
So then, boom, opportunity opens up where she needs a show producer.
So you start
I
touching the
already proved
boards.
myself. Yeah, I
Right.
proved like, yo, look, this is how it works.
Yeah.
I'm dedicated to this.
Yeah.
They asked me, do you want to produce Angie show? Of course. And now I'm in the studio,
Right.
one step closer to that radio mic. But it was all the process, but it was, I couldn't rush it.
How many years was it that you were shooting video and before you even touched a board, touched a fader?
Let me see. So I want to say at least 4 or 5 years, like 5 years before I even was able to like go in the studio and work with Angie, shoot. But I already knew how to work the boards because I was doing it at Sirius Satellite Radio.
Right.
Right. It's not like I had a degree in radio. It's like I'm really hands on. I'm doing it at Sirius Satellite Radio, so I could do it here.
Right.
Little things are a little different, but it's still the same concept. And I'm bringing more to the table. I'm not just standing behind the boards, turning your mic on and off and playing music. I know how to bring, more content to the show, make it more exciting. I'm a young boy. I'm shooting the videos, getting them out for you. You have that on your side. So I just was able to bring more to the table.
Right. Well, because I mean, at that point, you've had so many years of just working behind the scene. You understand every element.
From personal to entertainment. Like I knew what boundaries to not cross. You got to know people. You got to know like the way they think or the way they feel. So depending on the person you're with, when I'm with Cypher, things could be different than when I'm with Angie. And I got to respect the way she handles her business. And I was able to do that. And I think a lot of times people forget, if you're in the studio, if you're producing Angie show, it's about Angie, it's not about you.
Right.
A lot of times everyone is like, wants it to be about them, whether they're a manager, whether they're a producer, they want to be the star. And it's like, yo, chill. Like,
Well, it's your personal agenda.
right.
Yeah.
Like even cameramen and producers, music producers, like everyone wants to be a star. And it's like, you'll have your moment, but focus on why you're here and what your goal is. And I was just able to do everything the right way without rushing it. And I think that's what, and at the same time, this is all going on. I'm still DJing and building my name in the streets.
Right.
Because that was the most important thing. Like, let me still focus on my brand when I did have the time. When I wasn't focused on other people's brand, I still got to focus on mine.
Yeah.
So all this shit is going on in radio, and I'm still outside in the streets DJing, taking now because I work for Hot 97. I can get more. I can get $200.
The price is up.
Right, like for So now I'm like, yo, yeah, I'm not on the air, but I'm still in the building.
Right.
I'm next to the legends. Like now I want 300. Now I want 400. And as you grow, the price goes up. But
Right. So what was the length of time that you were on the boards? How long were you just producing shows and behind the scenes? Like once you stepped out of the camera?
I started at Hot on paper. I think it was like 2008.
Okay.
Right? So until I got on the air, would be on the air. I might only been on the air for like 6 years, 7 years now.
Okay.
7 years max. So I don't know. I can't even do the math, but
Easy. Like we can round that to 10.
Right.
We can round that to 10 safely.
Yeah, like
we could
just
safely
busting my ass.
Yeah.
Wanting to get on air, like
Right.
doing everything possible that I had to do to stay in the building, to gain the respect, to build my reputation. Like it wasn't, oh, I was in there for 2 years and now I'm on the radio. Nah.
So at this point, you've earned your spot. You have your DJ position. What made you crown yourself as the guy that is going to tap in with a new artist and is going to represent the streets?
I always felt as a DJ, I thought that was the DJ's job too, because when we go back to that kid that used to listen to Hot 97 and listen to Flex, right? He was playing all the artists from New York, the G Units, the
Right.
Dipset, the Locks. I would turn on, oh shit, this is new Joel Santana. And then I could go see Joel Santana at the local mall doing a meet and greet at Against All Odds. And it was just a connection there, right? So I'll go to Flex's car show and everybody I heard on the radio was at Flex's car show. And they happened to be from Brooklyn, from the Bronx, from Yonkers, from Jersey. I finally get on the radio and it's like 90% down south artists and the other 10% are the same artists that Flex was playing when I was a kid.
Right.
Yeah, they're from New York, but it's the same artists
Right.
still holding down New York.
When are we breaking records?
Where's the new young New York artists? Where's the next 50s? Where's the next Puffs? Where's the
Right.
next Little Kims? And I was like, no, nobody's doing it. Like, oh, I'm gonna do it.
Right.
Like, that's the whole point of being a DJ. Like, I'm on the radio, the biggest station in the world. Where's our superstars? Where's the tri-state superstars? And for a while, it was more like, man, nobody cares about that. Like, yeah, you care. That's cute. That's your DJ, the DJ in you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you care about the music. That's cool. I'm like, all right, cool. I got a point to prove.
Yeah.
Can I get a show that plays? Nah, nobody cares about it. Damn. Right? So it's like, how am I gonna do it? Or do we do it on the internet? But this is still Hot 97. I'm so loyal to this brand and I love it so much and it means so much to the culture. But it's still a New York radio station. It's
Correct.
still a local radio station. And I just said, you know what? I'm going to start building relationships with these artists. Because once I get on, I'm going to have the relationship. Now I can support them. And then, you know, management changes in companies. It's still a corporate company. I think people forget. Even though people think, oh, it's Hot 97. That's the brand, but bigger than that, it's still a corporate company. So
Right.
people change, positions change. We get new management. They're like, oh, you got an idea? You want to play new music? Go ahead. You do it for an hour. Not realizing how impactful it was going to be for the city. And I'm like, oh, cool. Now I have the show, I have the platform. Now I got to really find the artists that are out there putting in the grind locally.
Right.
And from there, it's just artists like A Boogie, one of the first artists, right? And I was playing these artists and finding them so early that it gets lost later on when they're superstars. Like, it was so early that it didn't even count. You know, it don't even count as so early.
Right.
But from the
Well, for those that matter,
right.
it counts.
I'm saying for the industry,
Right.
they don't even realize, oh shit, Boogie his first interview was with Drewski on the New Movement.
Right.
First person I ever realized that this music should be on the radio was Drewski in the New Movement, right? So, but it became so many artists after that that I even forget, you know, from the Boogies, from Pop Smoke to Fabio Foreign to Little TJ Porter. It's so many. It don't stop. Like, every artist now, I would say like 90% of the New York artists, before they're played by anyone else, I'm playing them before people even know their name.
Shifting the culture.
Right. And it makes me happy to say I'm doing what I love. I'm doing my job as a DJ, and now people are paying attention.
I don't know if you guys noticed, the premise of this whole thing from the beginning has been love. The amount of times he said love in this interview, this is actually why I started where I started, because now we're kind of getting to where I wanted to go. There's been a lot of violence. There's been a lot of people stolen from us. Our talent, you know, our culture is being robbed of like gifts.
Right.
And I know you for a while now.
Of course.
I saw you got a lot of backlash on the what artists are taking as you refuse to play drill, where we both know that wasn't the statement.
Right.
Why don't you? I won't even put the words in your mouth. Why don't you reiterate the statement?
It was I can't remember it exactly, but my stance was, yo, I'm not playing any music where you had one dissing the dead. Like if somebody dies, you're speaking on them. That ain't cool. Or calling each other's names. Like I'm not
Right.
gonna say, yo, when I see Jason, I'ma smoke him, and a week later, you get smoked. Who do you think they coming for?
Right.
Me, right? So my stance was never like, oh, to protect Jason. It's like, let's protect the culture. Let's protect the artist.
Right.
Clearly, someone's not telling you that's wrong. You think it's cool because it's getting all the views and streams. It is, but it's still wrong. You
Right.
indicting yourself, and we're losing you. Either Jason's gonna get me before the police do, or the police gonna get. There's no way out, right? So
Right.
I say something in my song, it blows up. You coming for me, or the police is coming for me? Like,
Correct.
There's no way out. So my thing is, yo, let's protect the culture. Let's protect the artists.
Right.
Y'all can do what y'all want, but I'm personally not cool with it. And I can speak on it because I'm the same person that was supporting it
Right.
when nobody else was, right?
And to be clear, he still supports the music. He
Oh, yeah,
still
of course.
very much plays drill.
1,000%. And I produce drill records. I put out records with drill artists.
Right.
But it wasn't never, oh, I'm not playing drill. I never even said drill music. I just said when you're dissing each other.
Yeah.
Drill never came. People just assume straight drill. But
Well, I had to emphasize it because I got a couple of DMs like, "Yo, I know you roll with Drewski. Like, what's up with your man not playing
yeah, no.
drill music anymore?" I'm like, "Come on, bro."
The internet is
Right.
insane. Like you don't realize it until you're like thrown into it, but they'll twist up a whole story.
Yeah.
And what made it worse was I never said drill. Excuse me. They turned it into Drewski not playing drill, and then two days later, the mayor comes out and says, "Let's ban drill." So it got all
Drewski got drill banned.
It got like all caught up in this whirlwind. I'm like, yo, I never even said that. I'm still playing drill music the same day I said it. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
it never made sense. But you know, people don't read. They'll just read a headline and that's it. But it was
I got to
never-
shout out Vlad because when he like blasted it everywhere, he used the picture of you here. So thank you, Vlad.
Shout out to Vlad.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone. It was going crazy. But a lot of people that have a head on their shoulders, especially bloggers or reporters, they were all like for it.
Right.
They understood it.
Right. As was I.
Right.
As was
It
I.
was like the ignorant people that don't read that were upset that didn't even understand what I'm saying. But anyone that had a head on their shoulders was like, I respect it and I'm with you. Like nobody else want to speak up about it. We're glad you did. Right? So I got a lot more love and support than I did hate, but there was hate around it because people were just confused and didn't know what it was. The artist, Jay, never said anything wrong. Like the artists were hitting me up like, yo, we don't want to beef no more, Drewski. We don't want to do this. Like,
Right.
But you know, they're not gonna say it publicly because they got egos. They're artists. They got to be careful.
Right.
But it was all love, even from the artists.
Yeah.
It was never like no artist was like, yeah, fuck Drewski. It was never because they understood what's coming. They know Drewski the first one to play them.
Right.
I'm just not gonna support the bullshit. Like it's bullshit, and no real dude would support that, knowing you guys are hurting one another or hurting yourself.
Right off the top of my head, over the course of the past year to year and a half, we lost 5 to 6 extremely talented individuals.
You're saying passed away.
Yes.
Right? Not even including the 5 and 6 that are sitting in jail right now.
Right.
Like,
Actually, I mean, it's
still a loss.
right. You're correct. Yes. So, you know what? I do have to retract that statement because we've lost so many more. I'm speaking to passed away,
Right.
and like TJ, that hit real close to home.
Yeah, and that's not even. He's not a drill artist. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like, it's bigger than drill. That's why I never said the word drill when I put the statement out.
Right.
It's bigger than that. But they like highlight the negativity and make it cool to hurt one another. So now it's a cool thing. So now when you're a young kid, you think, okay, cool. It's cool to get a gun and blast. That's the cool thing to do, right? Because that's what they're promoting. That's what's getting the views. I'm gonna do it too, you know. But then, you know, to hear someone like we already lost Pop Smoke, right? Who was close. Then I get the news about TJ. It's like, come on, bro.
Yeah.
And that, you know, we don't know what the circumstance really is, right?
Right.
I don't think it has anything to do with music, but him just being an artist, he's targeted.
100%.
Right? And that was my whole thing, is like, as an artist, you're gonna be targeted. So watch what you say. That's my whole thing. Like, watch what you do. Watch what you say.
Watch what you say. Watch what you do. Watch how you move. Protect yourself.
Right.
Protect yourself and keep yourself as safe as humanly possible. I mean, I think there's levels of unsafety that we're always going to go through because we have to go to shows. We have to be outside. We have to be seen. So all we could do is our best to protect ourselves.
Yeah, of course. But you won't have to worry as much if you're not dissing nobody. Like, you already got to protect yourself from the crazy people in the world.
Right.
But when you creating enemies and creating ops, like, you know, and now you creating ops. As a fan, I got to go to your show. If something pops off, I'm just there as a fan, and I might get trampled. I might get hit by a stray. Like, you know what I'm saying? It just creates too much. And now the people that are booking the concerts or booking the shows are like, well, Jason got too many ops. We not booking them. So now you're hurting your own pockets.
Right.
You can't feed your family. Right. So it's a trickle down effect that leads to nowhere. But while you got the heat, while people are paying attention to you, my thing is like, yo, do the right thing. Like, keep doing what you're doing. Just move the right way. Don't fuck up the bag, because you're going to fuck up your bag. And when you do that, you fuck up the family bag and everyone around you.
The countless people you're feeding. Cameras, marketing,
whatever,
all the individuals
everyone
around you. Yeah.
It's not just you. So, like, as an artist, don't be selfish. Like, I'm going to do what I would do. No, you could do what you know, be yourself. Nobody's telling you to be pussy, but just be smart.
If you, we'll wrap this up, but if you had one recommendation that you can make to these young artists that are coming up that haven't popped yet, what would that be?
I feel like a lot of the young artists, they focus on like how the negativity works, which is cool. But these big platforms like YouTube, they reached out to me when all that was happening. Like, yo, how can we contribute? You know, we could take accountability for hosting this stuff. So now all these big platforms that these young artists want to be on, they're shifting their algorithms too. So doing all that reckless is not even going to matter anymore. So my advice is like, yo, look at the artists that are winning. You know, look at the Fabio Forens, who could still do drill music, take it around the world, and don't have to say anyone's name, or like, you know what I'm saying? He could do a record with Alicia Keys and Kanye West. Yeah. Right? So it's like, look at those people for inspiration and not the kid sitting in jail or the kid that's dead right now. Because
I really liked how Fabio dealt with the whole 6ix9ine situation, where 6ix9ine was trying to clout chase and do that thing that he does. And Fabio was like, yo, I don't do that. And just left it there.
Boom.
Yeah.
I think that's how, and look where he's at now. You know what I'm saying? Like, treat it like that, even if you want to do drill music. And you could still...
Did he come out during your set at Summer Jam?
He had his own set.
Okay, dope.
Like, right there. Yeah. Fabio Foreign had his own set, closed out Summer Jam.
Oh, he closed.
He closed out.
The whole King of New York thing, I was fucking with it.
You know, that's how you go viral. But the fact to be in that position, and your music, you know, is not just about drilling, killing, and you can still close out Summer Jam. Like, that's where these young artists should want to be. Right. Follow that path, not your favorite artist that's sitting in jail right now, because that shit makes no sense.
Yeah, I mean, that situation in itself.
I talk to these artists on the phone, everything. Free K-Flock, free D-Thing, free Sleepy Hollow, free Chef G, free Busy Banks, you know, free Casanova, free Albie. So many artists that are locked down right now. Free Lee Drilly and all the drillies from the Bronx that are locked up. Like, it's crazy how many talented artists.
Gunna too. Gunna was just indicted.
Well, Gunna, Young Thug.
Yeah, wow.
And then that's a whole nother topic, is the lyrics. Oh, they're using the lyrics. Y'all can say what you want. They still using the lyrics. Watch what the fuck you saying in the song. That was my
Please.
whole point.
Please.
Right? It's like,
Yeah.
you can feel however you want to feel about the law.
Right.
Do we agree with it? Of course not, but they're still going to use it.
Yeah.
So watch what the fuck you saying, because
Yeah.
you indicting yourself.
Yeah, that whole Gunna situation, they just,
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't learn from that, and you're talking about some of the biggest artists in the world, they have unlimited resources. They're rich, and they're sitting behind bars for whatever reason. It's like, smarten up. If you talk to Gunna Thug right now, I'm sure they would give a lot more advice, on the right way to move and the right way to do it.
Agreed. I think that touches base on it, man. Like, young artists, learn from what's going on. Let's make a change. Let's impact the culture for the better. Let's make this better and let's progress. Let's
Right.
make music.
Yeah, art.
Yeah, let's make music. Let's make art. Appreciate you, Drew.
Of course. Anytime.
Jason Blends, Studio Square, DJ Drewski, you know the vibes.
Bow.